Welcome back to OpenLine. We are talking with Dr. Reavis Mitchell, history professor at Fisk University. Also, he's the chair of the State Historical Commission. They will be looking at monuments across the entire state, and this is a time where I think it's good to talk about all of that. A lot of calls. Let's go to Brian. Hello, Brian.
Hey, I'm here.
Go right ahead.
Hey, first I want to say to the doc, boy, I bet he's just seen a thing or two. I bet he's been around for a while, you know, with everything. But I want to say I grew up in Southern Illinois, and I got relatives in Kingsport and Nashville. And a lot of the family moved to Chicago to work. I know there's a big Nashville-Chicago connection, but yeah, you know, East Tennessee, they wanted to stay in the Union, and Tennessee, they had it pretty rough. I thought most of these monuments were built like 1890, 1910, and that, you know, they could have had their various reasons for doing it. But a lot of them, they're pretty, you know, they're pretty awesome, pretty large, and it would be difficult, I would think, even physically move these things around, and you got to see if they're on public ground. And Nashville is unique. I told the producer in that we're one of the few states in the country where the biggest city also is the state capital, and the richest city, of course, in the state. That's very unusual. So anything that they want to do about these statues or anything like that would just get quashed, I would think, by the state senate. I would think they would just say no. So
you think it's going to be?
Oh yeah, I want to say, Fisk. What happened to those paintings? I hope you guys are able to keep those paintings from that nice old lady that were worth millions and millions. I know there was a lot of concern about that.
Yep. We entered into an arrangement with the Mrs. Walton of Walmart. She became a supporter, so she shares 50% interest, and so the O'Keeffe collection spends 3 years in Nashville. I hope you view it when it's here, and then it's been 3 years in Arkansas at the beautiful museum they have there.
So, all right, back to the monuments.
But I want to comment on Brian.
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Brian is, like I hope many Tennesseans, he's very informed about what's going on. He's very informed. He understands that. And I hope we Tennesseans understand that. And, you know, it's a process. It's always a process. And the concerns you mentioned about size and grandeur and how it's handled, it's a process that will be considered by the legislature and eventually by my commission.
So eventually by your commission, do you see us at the cusp of a major change? We have X number of monuments across the state. The only one I've heard really discussed is the Nathan Bedford Forrest Monument right there in the Capitol. You mentioned there's one also in Memphis. But are we about to see wholesale changes in these monuments, either taking them down or reaffirming them across the entire state?
You see it in the nation, and we're not immune, we're unisolated. You see it from Baltimore, Maryland, to California, to Kentucky. So it's something that we're going to have to deal with it. We have a concerned constituency of persons who feel that it's time to change what was. I think we're sensitive to our history, but we aren't shackled by it. So yes, I think there will be a period of change. I can't predict exactly what it was. I can't predict when it will come, but I think it's in the process right now. We're going to see action in this year's legislative session, I'm sure, with regards to monuments and markers.
Do you think they would be open to taking some down, or do you think they would be more along the lines of, let's not change a thing? Or can you predict?
I don't know about taking them down, but I know you can't go with don't change a thing. When you get outcry from the senior senator from Tennessee, when the governor who appointed all of us on the commission have taken certain actions. But the legislatures, like everything, they're going to respond also to their constituents, to what they want. And that's good. That's the way government should work. That's the way democracy functions.
Let's go to Jan. Hello, Jan.
Yes.
Go right ahead.
Okay, what I want to say is I was born in Nashville, and I'm now an old lady. And I don't like the way things have changed. You know, Martin Luther King taught love. Obama taught love. We've got a man in the White House now that preaches hate. And I never did get, even as a girl, go in a group that taught hate. Never. Because if you act hate, if you teach hate, and talk about hating this group and that group, the Mexicans, the blacks, you know, people are going to follow you because there's got a bunch of uneducated people. The uneducated ones are the ones that are doing it. I guarantee you. And
all right, so you think we're in a period where there's leadership that's preaching hate?
absolutely.
Our president. All right, all right. Thank you, Jan.
Thank you. You know, I appreciate her comments greatly. I think there's a responsibility among all people, I'm not just going to put it on the older generation. Responsibility of all people in this country who talk about we love America, God bless America. We have a responsibility to step forward and make America what it really should be and what we want it to be.
And your wife's asked you, is there a parallel in history as far as presidents? And so I won't ask that, but I'll ask, is there, in our time, again, we've had a tough racial time, a civil war, all kinds of tough racial times, civil
there have
rights.
been periods of intolerance in the past.
What is this?
In the 1920s and 30s, you saw it out with Huey Long down in Louisiana. You saw it with Father Coughlin. You saw it with people speaking out. But just like there was a Red Scare when there was intolerance based upon fear of communism, it was a fear that people were losing what was there, so they joined groups, they acted out. We've got to stabilize the country, and you know, the economy has stabilized. We have all the reports about the stock market going up, but yet the great majority of people who want to work, all of them don't have jobs, and they don't have the kind of jobs they want. We've got to end, I think, hate and intolerance by, and this sounds like a campaign, but by making the American dream an American reality.
There's a huge economic component to this.
Yes, there is. Racism is always fueled by economic inadequacies. If on my side as a black man, I can't find what I need to support myself and whatever, and on your side as a white man, you feel like you're being deprived what you have an inherent right to, that's going to inflame itself. And it's naturally, it's easy to take it out along racial lines when people are different. But we can't stress nationalism. We always talk about that. A great country, United States. Yesterday was a great example of it. Everybody was out there under the eclipse. People were celebrating it. They saw the human experience. We didn't divide up on that. We need more of that.
And it didn't cost more for one group to see it. It was really refreshing. Lucy. Hello, Lucy.
Hey, I just want to weigh in on something, and I probably have a different perspective on a lot of this stuff, but if you understand the histories of fraternities, they are there to protect the status quo, and the status quo being money. And after the Civil War, when Bedford Forrest started his fraternal order of the Ku Klux Klan, he was there to protect the interest of the landholders and the people coming down that were ripping off lands from the devastated South. He was there to protect their interests basically as a militia. If you talk to old-timers from West Tennessee, white folks here in Middle Tennessee, they have been equally, if not more, victimized by the order of the Klan. And when I look at Forrest, I don't see him as an honorable man because of what he did do at Fort Pillow. Right. He is known as the butcher because he mutilated those black soldiers who had surrendered. He used Native Americans to help him go in, cut their genitals off and stuff them in their mouths, stuff rifles up their rectum to intimidate and scare. And if you come to the almost present day, when a man tried to establish an NAACP so people could vote, he could tell you a whole lot about how he was victimized by the same thing that Forrest had portrayed. Now, these black soldiers had surrendered. And Dick Williams, all he was trying to do in June 20th of 1940 was start a NAACP chapter so black folks could vote because they were poor. They were the dominant population in that county, and it wasn't about race. It was about economics. And then he had his genitals cut off, stuffed in his mouth, and his tongue cut out, and he was tied to a log and thrown in the river, and his body was treated like a piece of trash, and that's 1940.
Wow.
So I think Forrest needs to go out of the state capitol, and that's how I feel. He is not an honorable man. He is not a great leader. He is a money man, is all he is.
Let's talk about that. Thank you, Lucy. All right, what do you think about everything there?
I think that she has her facts correct, and I think she has passion behind her, and that's what it's going to take. The Fort Pillow massacre was a disgrace, but you also it's no need of understanding bigotry or whatever, but there was the sense of place, trying to keep people in their place. Later on, believe it or not, there was a fear of black folks leaving the South because they needed me for sharecropping and work labor. So it's always a question of economics. But you know, economics will sometimes be the medicine for racism. If even though I may have nothing, if there's someone who's under me, if I'm better than the expletive deleted, that's enough. I sometimes wonder now, and I don't want to open another can of worms, but how can you argue about health care when so many Americans need health care, black and white? Is it simply because it was proposed? I know all the arguments about the excessive cost and the insurance industry and how it's not profitable for the insurance industry. But, you know, a great nation, and we can't provide universal health care, we can't take care of our people. So, you know, I wonder how, you know, one of the constant jokes with students at Fisk is that, well, you know, just change the name of it. Don't call it Obamacare. And Obama said, but call it Obamacare because I care. And given everything that's happened now, I think America may be looking for another caring president.
All right, we're going to take a break. If you want to call in, there's the number. If you're on the line, hold on. We'll just go through the calls when we come back. Take a break. Be back right after this.